imagining a line of energy from the base of your spine, right at your first chakra, your first energy center, and allowing that grounding to go all the way to the center of the earth and invite gravity to help you pull out all of that energy that's spiraling in your space that's not yours. Typically, stress, anxiety, overwhelm is because our aura has absorbed energy that's not ours, and we don't know what to do with that.
Hi everyone, I am Julie Edmonds, your host of Channeled, tapping into the wisdom of your soul. Welcome everyone to Channeled, tapping into the inner wisdom of your soul. And today we have the incredible Aimee Leigh. She is the founder of Soul Happy, and it's a system created to help people heal from anything and rewire your subconscious mind, tap into your highest self, and just find and listen to your intuition. She has a wonderful program. She's helped thousands of people heal and truly transform. Her passion is helping others feel empowered, emotionally free, and deeply connected to their authentic selves. So, Aimee, welcome to Channeled. I'm so happy that you're here.
Julie, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here as well.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, if you could just take us through your journey on how you became the great Aimee Leigh, founder of Soul Happy.
Oh, I love that. Well, I was born, first of all. I'll start with when I was really young. I was very intuitive. I was a child that kind of knew when there was a cop around the corner when my mom was driving, or my dreams would come true, or I just knew things that really weren't necessarily something that I should know at an age. And it was cool at first, right? Like it was just information for me. But as I got older, like in my late teens, early 20s, it started to kind of, in a way, hinder or make me feel like something was wrong with me or I was very different.
Wow.
So, with that, I remember I went and I saw a psychologist and this therapist. Of course, the way that it all works out, it was a perfect person to talk with me. And she helped me understand that it was my intuition and energy awareness and the sensitivity to it. And she introduced me to this meditation class. And from there, I just started to learn how to develop my intuition, how to really own my gifts and have them work for me and not against me. And so I did readings and healings and all of those things for many, many years. And then Soul Happy started when I was in corporate America, actually. And then I was pregnant with my second child and I was doing consulting and so forth. And I thought, maybe I'll just give that a break and I'll go into teaching more and doing more readings and such. And I did that. And Soul Happy just came from that. It was very organic. I didn't set out to create a business. It just kind of happened for me, which is the best way for that to happen. And it just continually grows me as I grow it.
That is so awesome. So it sounds like Soul Happy found you
Yeah.
and it happened for you. I loved earlier that you said that your intuition, it said you figured out a way for it to work for you and not against you. I think that is so important. I was just talking to a young lady actually yesterday who was telling me she's from South Africa. Her father, super scientific and just really didn't understand, anything about intuition or tapping into any of those types of senses. And she thought she had schizophrenia, or her father thought she had schizophrenia because she was hearing all of these voices. And she had the same sort of, situation where she ended up seeing a therapist that led her down to this path where now she's just really tapped into her powers. So, can you tell us a little bit for the listeners? How can not to be afraid of that? How do you listen to your intuition? What is intuition? Explore, that whole definition and how you actually tapped into it, or someone who's trying to just really beginner tapping
Yeah.
into their intuition.
Well, I think the definition and how I usually answer questions and explore these things, it can change based on the day and also who I'm speaking to. So right now, what really comes up is how intuition is our connection to our own inner self. It's our connection to spirit, to God, to the God of our heart, and to an inner knowing and information that's not available in just to the naked eye. So it's a way to connect with information on deeper levels that helps you to make decisions in this body and in this lifetime that is in alignment with your truth. So really, the way when you said, how do you not be afraid of that? I think that starting small, so allowing yourself to stay connected to, okay, so what do I want to eat? Or which route do I want to take going to work? Or, I just had a little intuitive hit or this little nudge to call this person. And just to start with those things where there's not a lot of risk involved, right? And then you start to have this dialogue and this communication with yourself. I see intuition really as it is the communication between you and energy. Intuition is becoming able or being able to read and understand energy. And as it's been so cool, right? Because I've been doing this work for so many years. And now science is even more showing that it is true. It is fact. Everything is energy. So if everything is energy, that means that this intuitive ability that we have is the ability to read that energy.
All right.
So starting small and then growing that, learning how to connect with that, what that sounds like and feels like for yourself, which I have a quiz. This was one of the first things I did was I have a quiz where you can go on and learn about how your intuition speaks to you the most, because it's going to be different for everybody. Sometimes it's you feel it, sometimes you know it, sometimes you see it, sometimes you hear it. There are all these different ways. And so for you to start to know, well, what is this language of my soul? That I think is the best way to start, is to understand it and to practice on the little things.
So I love that you said practice when the stakes are low. When if you mess up or if you weren't right or you second guessed yourself or somehow you thought you made it up and connect the dots there. That's super important, this first steps. Now, when we're talking about being in alignment, I feel like, my whole life I know when I've been out of alignment, a lot of it was hindsight. Maybe I didn't realize it in the moment, especially when I was younger. And then when you're in alignment, when things are just sort of flowing, ease, grace, and flow type of thing, and things are just sort of lining up. Can you talk to that for a minute on what does it feel like when you're out of alignment and how to get back into alignment?
Yeah, I think that another thing in between that just popped up that I just want to mention that goes into this is that I have heard so many students and so many clients and friends and even myself hit a point where we think that intuition is either right or wrong.
Hmm.
And that is what gets in the way of us trusting it. But what if I'm wrong? Instead of recognizing it's a piece of the puzzle, and we might not understand the full picture for a very long time, and for that to be okay. So releasing the analyzer from having to make it this blanket right or wrong. I listened and that was a mistake, or I listened and I was right. That's where like the ego and the analyzer gets married in that, and it now becomes a competition with self. It becomes a competition between our analyzer and our intuition.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm
Yeah,
so glad because we have that loud voice in our mind that just blocks and stops us, judges us.
yeah.
And, what is your practice? Do you have a practical practice to maybe talk yourself out of that or feel yourself out of that, or just maybe it's just a trusting or a knowing for someone who struggles with those two parts of their mind?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is awareness, is being able to be the observer and be a neutral observer. So a judgment, we judge ourselves and we're in competition with ourselves more than we are with anybody else. And when we can start to recognize that and see that, it gives us more freedom. So the first thing to do is just to even notice, oh, interesting, I'm stuck on, is this going to be the right decision or the wrong decision, versus giving it space to just offer more information in even the inquiry about it. But a practice, like a practical practice, this is what I teach a lot, is, to me, it's meditation. And there's multiple ways to get there. But for me, this is the classes that I started to take in my 20s. It's about grounding, learning how to run your energy, how to work with energy, how to build your clairvoyance. Because from a clairvoyant standpoint, which is really just being behind your eyes and in that space, viewing whatever it is that you're looking at that energy and that perspective from a neutral clairvoyant space, instead of the emotions and in the body. And when you can do that, that starts to help you to see where you are, and to create some space between you and whatever it is that you're navigating or looking at. So that practical piece is, for me, again, meditation. A really quick one though would be, just imagine bringing all of your attention behind your eyes, feel your feet flat on the floor, and just kind of be in the moment and connect to yourself, right? We all have those moments throughout the day, or throughout a month at least, hopefully, right? Like where all of a sudden you just kind of connected, you just feel that, and it might just be instantaneous, but that's a skill that we can build. And as we build that skill, we can call on it in times where we're feeling not aligned, or we're doubting our decision and so forth.
Yeah, no, that is so real. I work with a lot of high performance entrepreneurs, and very goal driven, very motivated to go go go. In fact, I was that person in my early 20s, but I experienced massive anxiety and panic, and for a lot of different reasons. And I really started exploring meditation and hypnotherapy, which now I'm certified in hypnotherapy, and just really tapping into my inner self and finding out, like, what's really going on. You mentioned awareness, because I always teach the awareness piece is about when there's an irrational emotions. We have our regular emotions, happy, joy, nervous, that's just normal. But when it's triggered, when it's irrational, then let's become aware of that space and tap into what's really happening. And it's hard when you're have like a heightened emotion in those moments. Do you have something that you practice, like let's say you're experiencing anxiety, or some type of, oh my goodness, this is way above what on a scale of 1 to 10 I should be about a 4, but I'm really a 12 right now?
Yeah.
You do.
Would it be okay if I explain what, in my perspective, energetically is happening with that?
100%.
Okay, great. So to me, what's happening, and this is where I thought something's wrong with me in my teen and early 20s, was because I was so connected to all of the things, other people, what was happening, that it was an overwhelm in my body. And I actually had a panic attack. I was walking down the street one night and my heart started racing, and I had that thing that you hear about. And I was like, what is this? And what I learned and what I have seen is that what happens is, our system, if everything is energy, and you imagine that there's these pockets of almost like Polaroid pictures, right? There are these series of pictures in our space, and series of pictures, these information holders. And what can happen is that we become unconsciously aware of all of these energies around us, these feelings and emotions and things that are happening. And our body that's made of this earth is overwhelmed. It does not know how to solve all of the things we're becoming aware of. So with awareness, that can overwhelm the body, which is sometimes, I always say, ignorance is bliss. But when we learn the tools of how to ground, be the parent of our body, care for our body, recognize that the body is made of the earth, and its whole purpose is to keep us alive, right? Then we have more freedom. When we have that body spirit communication, we have more freedom to become more aware of other realms and energies and things that are happening. Our awareness, it gradually allows us to start to expand that awareness.
So you're saying your panic attack, and some panic attacks, or all panic attacks, are just a hypervigilance of just too much awareness around. Is this what, it sounds like? And to be able to have more grounded boundaries, and that's a practice too, because, I deal with so many, I don't have anxiety anymore. Like, I've learned to just rewire my brain and create all those groundings and boundaries around me and energies that are not welcome, and all of the stuff that we could
Yeah.
talk about. But if I'm young and I'm just motivated and I want to, I'm just like hyper focused on so many different things. What's a good easy practice for someone to just ground themselves, clear out the noise, and sort of reset?
Yep, I'm going to go back to bring your attention right behind your eyes, feel your feet on the ground. And even, I mean, they teach this in therapy, right? Like if you're going through a panic attack, look at physical things. What do I smell right now? What do I see right now? I tend to like rub my hands together, look at the palms of my hands, just be as present in the moment as you can. And another thing that I say to myself a lot, which annoys people sometimes, is there is no problem. And I'm not saying it to dismiss my feelings. I'm not saying it to override. I'm saying it because really in the big thing that right now in this moment, there is no problem, which allows my body. Now, if there is a problem, then run. Like if you really are in danger, if something is really happening that you need to change your environment, that's different. I'm saying if I'm looking around and I'm in my home.
No, absolutely. Nothing's happening. There's no
Right,
tiger
nothing's
chasing you. You're
happening.
just standing in the
Yes.
sunshine.
But I'm feeling this overwhelm, then I need to bring my awareness to that. And I think, and so grounding, imagining a line of energy from the base of your spine, right at your first chakra, your first energy center, and allowing that grounding to go all the way to the center of the earth and invite gravity to help you pull out all of that energy that's spiraling in your space that's not yours. Typically, stress, anxiety, overwhelm is because our aura has absorbed energy that's not ours, and we don't know what to do with that. And
Wow.
so grounding and awareness is very important. I will say too, I just want to offer this because I think this is important. There's no perfect picture, meaning I've been doing this work for 20 plus years. I am not immune to anxiety. I'm not immune to stress. I'm not immune. Like we're human beings. And so we're going to go through these different rhythms and aspects of life and vibrations. And I think what's most important is to trust that you can move yourself through it no matter what it is to have the awareness of where you are and what you're navigating, but that connection with yourself and that self-trust, which was again the intuition, is going to allow us to navigate that with more grace and ease and not create more harm from that.
Well, that's a beautiful answer. I've never really heard someone explain anxiety in that way. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
From my experience, like, obviously we all have those fear, those things, but a big part of my hypnotherapy was just rewiring the brain, because it's not, what happened, but the beliefs that we formed about ourselves in those moments that continue to replay on autopilot, on an unconscious level. I'm not good enough. I'm too different. Things aren't available to me. And so I have a practice where if I do start to feel a little insecure or out of place in that moment, or I start sort of comparing myself, I do stop, breathe, groundwork. And I have a mental practice where I tell myself these things, like, because words cast spells. And I say, like, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, I'm articulate enough. And I have this gratitude practice that I do in the morning. What's your practice? It sounds like you do a lot of grounding, a lot of visualizing the energy, making sure you have the aura and the boundaries cleansed and clear. What words are you telling yourself in those moments?
I will notice that a picture is stronger for me than saying something, really, because I notice too where sometimes it can get into the practice of spirituality, or these tools can now become, there's this point where it can become a checklist again, or I've got to solve a problem. And so I really practice being very soft in my heart and inviting peace, joy, and gratitude. Those are the three main energies that I work
Wait,
with.
let's start over because I was just doing that this morning. I was like, check, I need these 10 things that I need to do. And then I got like three of them done yesterday, and I still have like 12 more because it's
Yeah,
growing. Like,
right.
so tell me again, start over. You're looking
Well,
at this list. What do you do?
so okay, so even in my meditation practice, in my spiritual self-care practice, how we do one thing seeps into everything, right? So if I notice that in my meditation, I'm going into it looking for, what do I need to heal? What's not, what energy needs to move? What do I need to change? What should I mock up? What, like, I go into get it done mode in my meditation practice or my spiritual practice. I know that that is reflecting to me how I am in my daily life. I'm in this do all the things and more disconnected from, I'm a human doing, not a human being. So when I can
Oh, wait,
practice,
wow. Okay, I'm a human doing, not a human being. I
yeah,
love that statement.
yeah. So then, so if I notice that, this is where the awareness is so important, right? Then if I feel that my meditation and whatever practice it is for my sister, it's cleaning. Like literally, this has always been her meditation. She just cleans her whole house. So like wherever you are in your practice to connect to yourself, if you're noticing that it feels like you have to be doing it, or you have to solve something, or there's a stress and it's not a relaxed in the heart, peaceful, grounded, just being in your own space, then you can look to see, most likely that's happening in your day-to-day life, and that's creating a lot more stress and adrenal, and the body is leading more than the spirit. So yeah, those are the practices.
Is there a space though for the human doing? Like, is there space for that? Because I feel like someone listening sound would be, I can't just sit here and just, I mean,
No.
flow and that would just everything will just come to me. Like, where do you do the doing part?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. In fact, part of what I've heard throughout so many years is part of what makes me very different is that it's a marriage between your body and your spirit. It's a marriage between your analyzer and your intuition. It takes both sides. And the analogy that I use is that if I'm on one side of the road and I know I need to get to the other side of the road, I just have this knowing. If I just start to walk across the road because my intuition is telling me, and I don't stop to look to see if there's traffic coming, I'm going to get harmed. And the flip side of that, so I need to engage my analyzer. And the flip side of that is that if I'm on the sidewalk and there's all these people walking this way and I just follow in line, then I'm not necessarily on my path. I'm just following along because this is where people are going. So you have to have both the connection to your intuition, which I see intuition is, again, it's more information in the energetic field that you're able to bring into your space. You offer that to your intellect and your analyzer, and from there you do, right? So that doing is essential. You can't just, we're human beings. You have to engage. You have to, if you feel inspired to start a business, if you feel inspired to lose weight, whatever it might be, we're in a physical plane, so there's physical laws. We're in this space of time where we have the space of, or we are in the place of time and space, which means that we have to physically move through those things.
Sounded like a
So
rap song.
it did, right? I know. Yeah. So yeah, it's essential. You can't just sit there. But what's important is it's that balance.
No, no, that was a beautiful explanation. So thank you for. We shift gears. You talked about clairvoyance a lot. Can you tell us a story of when that helped you or how you tapped into it and you trusted it and you listened to it?
It's changing the I knew it moments to I know it.
Ooh.
So I noticed in my life, there were so many times, and even before I started learning and practicing my intuition formally, I would notice that there were these times where in hindsight, I was like, I knew it. And most of those times, my intuition comes in really strong, and it did when I was little, the most around protection. So for protection for myself, protection for my family, for people I love, even protection sometimes for strangers I didn't really know. And what I wanted to do was to no longer say I knew it. I wanted to empower myself to say I know it without any other needed explanation, without needing to defend myself or prove it.
Just so it's like standing in your truth. I know it. I trust it. Full body. I know it.
I know it. And also in doing that, being completely not being attached to, am I right or wrong? Not being attached to in the future getting the proof that I was right. Now, because this is what will happen in the I knew it moments, I see those as part of our learning. It's part of how we learn, like, oh, that was my intuition. I now know more of what it feels like, looks like, what I experienced in that. And I'm in the I knew it moment. That's me recognizing that I'm intuitive. That's me recognizing I can trust myself. And so we might have to have a lot of those, especially in different topics or areas of life, right? So we might have to have a lot of those to, and that's part of building that muscles, like going to the gym and working out, right? Like you're breaking that down to then bring awareness and consciousness to it. And then you're like, okay, that's it. That is what my intuition is. But the ability to stand in, I know it, when somebody else is saying to you, like, that's ridiculous. Why wouldn't you go? Or why, I know it.
Just a
And
feeling of just confirmation. I have a question for you though. So, again, with hypnotherapy, our minds like to prove ourselves, right? So we could be an I know it, like I knew this man was going to be blah, blah, but we're also creating and attracting and bringing in
yes,
or looking for certain things. So how do you decipher where it's like I know it through trauma and mental
yes.
blocks and limiting beliefs versus I know it through my spirit and my soul?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. Thank you for asking it. So earlier I was talking about the difference between, or like being in your lower, in your body and connected to your intuition. So that's more like your second chakra, your gut instinct, the mama intuition, right? That lives in our lower chakras. And what's tricky with the lower chakra reading and awareness is that it is much stickier and a little bit of a lower vibration. So it's easy to get lost in it. If somebody else's energy or emotions, like you go have lunch with somebody, you leave, you kind of carry their problems with you, you feel that can muddy your clarity, right? So there's that. Then also the trauma is real. What we've been through has informed us. And as I was saying earlier, the body wants, the whole job of our beautiful bodies is to give us a place for us to live in and express our essence, be here in this plane. And so it's going to try to keep us alive, of course. So with that, it's like, oh, this seems familiar, not safe, right? That's a body level versus this intuitive knowing of like, I see this, this is what it is. So this is the trick. This is a trick that I use.
Okay, I can't wait.
When I'm feeling that like, oh, this feels a little emotional. Usually it's emotional, right? This is feeling emotional. I need clarity. I imagine bringing that energy up. And even you can see it as a color. You can give it a color. If you don't see it, you can say, if I did see it, what color would it be? And you start to bring it into the sixth chakra clairvoyant space. And when
And for
you,
those that don't know, where's the sixth chakra?
okay, sorry. Yes. Sixth chakra is right behind your eyes. Where I keep saying to go, right? Like right behind your eyes in this space. If you just imagine bringing your attention, And if you don't do that, even physically, even you saying, what color is this feeling? That starts to bring it into that space, and it starts to separate it from the emotion so you can see it better. So I think I'm getting really into more of the teaching aspect, which might be confusing for people. So let's just
No, I think you're giving us practical methods of how to do that, but go on. It's good.
yeah. So this is what I know to be true too for me. And again, it's an intimate, how does your intuition speak to you? So this is an intimate relationship that I want everybody to really explore if they feel called. So when you bring it up to the sixth chakra, when you give it a color, when you recognize it's a little bit sticky, when it's a little bit of this, like, I know it, but it's from the body or trauma, a lot of times it will feel screamy. It'll be really loud. It'll be demanding. It's you have to do something right here, right now, in this moment. So there's this immediacy when it's more of the body level and more of a trauma. When it's more your intuitive knowing and the spiritual awareness, it's quieter. It's more whispery, it's soft, and it's spacious. It doesn't feel pushy. It actually gives more of a spaciousness, even if it's critical, that it needs your attention right here and now. This lightness happens where it just clicks. This is just the truth. So it feels lighter. It feels true. There's a clickingness to it, and it's spacious. It's not demanding. There's not a fear that comes with it. So I'll share with you, there's a couple of times you asked, like, how has my intuition helped me? And there's been, daily, right? All the way from, like, I'm going to sleep at night and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I think my light in my car is on. I don't want to get up. I'm so just go, it's on, go look. And I look and it's on. And I'm like, hey, thank you so much. Because if I had not, then I wouldn't have had a car to start tomorrow morning. So little things, right? Down to years ago, one of my sisters, I had a dream. And in my dream, there was this piece of paper, and spirit writes to me in my dreams. It's odd, right? So I see
No, that's so cool.
it's the coolest.
I always have dreams where I have a cell phone and I can't turn it on because I'm like, I need to take a picture. Anyway.
That's funny. So in this dream, there's a piece of paper, and I start watching this pencil go across, and it's writing out names. And the first name, then the second name, there's like a list of like 6 girls. And my sister's name was on this. And the very first name that was written was circled. And I had this awareness that they were going to go to Tahoe. We live in California, and there was a car accident, and it was very severe. So next morning I woke up, I'm like, that's really odd. And do I say something? I hit this a lot. Do I say something? Do I not say something? Do I just leave it? And my sister came in my room. She was living with me at the time. And she's like, guess what? We're all going to Tahoe. And I'm like, okay. So I shared with her what I saw in my dream. And I said, I want you to just have this information. I'm not going to place fear in your space. I'm not saying go or don't go. I'm just giving you this information because I don't know why it came to me, and I want to offer it to you. So sure enough, she's like, I thought about it. We're still going to go. I'm like, great. And the woman whose name was circled was driving. Okay. So they're driving up, and they're in this huge SUV, and sure enough,
We're all
they
together in one car.
all together in one car. And I had no idea that they were doing this, right? So they're driving up, and sure enough, they got in a car accident, and they flipped the car, and they totaled the car.
Goodness.
And my sister said that, when they were flipping, when this was happening, time stands still. She just saw my face. So the car was totaled, but not one got hurt.
Wow.
Every right? So I share this because I don't know how all of this works. I know what I see. I know the ability and the possibility and the capabilities that we have in this body. And I know that there's purpose behind these things. I believe that maybe somehow me offering that helped that timeline, right? Because it's all kind of happening simultaneously anyways. So now that's an extreme, right? Like that was my sister, all these lovely women's lives,
But we don't always have to know, well, from what you're saying, how it works or why it works. Just
Exactly.
trust that it works.
Exactly. I think that that's the most important part, is to take out competition, take out the right or wrong, take out any of those judgments or that it's supposed to look a certain way, and just let it be part of, it's like breathe. It's just part of the information that comes in that helps you to make decisions that can really support you in your life.
So I've had to work on that a lot in my life on, did I get it right? Did I get it right? It's that internal approval, desire for, approval. And I heard my brother actually said this to me. He's like, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just an answer with data. And whatever happens is what happens based on whatever decision that you made. And for some reason, that was such an aha moment for me. I started looking at stuff like, okay, well, this was what I chose, and this is what and this
Yeah.
is the flow that we're going with. And but tapping, so there's such a sometimes a struggle people have with, that you talked about that analytical mind, but in this case, with this dream that you had, you weren't writing, you weren't talking. This was just a dream with your spirit writing and circling a name. Do you have dreams like that? Was it a lucid dream, or was it just like, how are your dreams? Because I know the difference between just a dream where my mind's repairing itself and a
Yeah.
dream where there's actual spirit stepping in and my guides are here and I'm actually seeing certain things and animals. And
Yeah.
do you have a
Yeah.
difference?
There is a difference for sure. And I have both. And spirit does talk to me. My intuition talks to me a lot through my dreams, and more heavily in my younger years. And I think probably because it wasn't developed in my waking hours as much.
So can you tell us the different intuition types?
Yes. So this was a fun thing that I put together a while ago. The intuition types, there's wise soul. So this is if you just know things off the top of your head. This is where your seventh chakra, which lives at the top of your head, is activated the most. And you'll hear this. And we use these terms in everyday life already. I just knew it off the top of my head, right?
Oh, right. I just knew it off the top of my head. Wise
That means,
soul.
yep, that's your seventh chakra. That's your knowingness, and you're a wise soul. Then there's sovereign visionary. So sovereign visionary is more clairvoyant, where your intuition speaks to you more in pictures, visionary, almost like movie clips will play. You'll just kind of get flashes. And I think that this is a skill that we can all, it tends to be more neutral. So anyways, it's just, yeah. Then there's central creative, and central creative is more in the third chakra. And this
And
is,
which one is the third chakra?
the third chakra is right in your belly. It's your creative source. So if you feel a lot of like in your gut, I had a gut feeling, then
Oh, I had a gut feeling. Okay, so that's creative,
that's your central.
central creative.
Yes. And then vibrational muse. Vibrational muse is more where it's in your fifth chakra, which is at your throat. And this is going to be where you hear the vibration, right? So you're more in tune with the sound of vibration. This is where, like you were sharing about your client that heard the voices and so forth. And again, just to be clear, there is that issue too, that does exist. But for what we're talking about today, the vibrational muse is hearing. Maybe you're really sensitive to sound, you get overwhelmed with loud noises and so forth. One of the ways that your intuition speaks to you and you connect with energy is through the vibration of it, and that can turn into the sound of it.
And that's where a lot of sound healing and frequencies and different hertz come in.
That's
I
awesome.
love those.
I do
Beautiful.
too. I do too. It's just heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the quiz, there's also an ebook that I created around your intuition and what you can do for each of these. So let's say you're a vibrational muse, then I go deeper into what that is, what you might notice and how you can grow that as well as grow the other
So on your
thing.
website, you have this intuition quiz
Yeah.
to figure out your intuition type. So there's
Yes.
the wise soul, just the knowing,
Yes.
the sovereign visionary for clairvoyance,
Yep.
the central creative, which I just felt it in my gut,
Yep.
and the vibrational muse, which is in your throat for sound. And so you take this quiz and you figure out which one you most are aligned with, or what you frequent the most. And
Yep.
then in your ebook, you talk about how to build that and tap into that more. I did
Wow.
some manifesting and these meditations about bringing your future self, stepping into that person and bringing it now, because I realized this goal that I had, this passion project, I always said it's in the future. So every time I moved forward in the future, it stayed
In the
in the
future.
future.
Yep.
And so the only way for me to have done that was to realize, wait, I need to bring this here. And that's all it took, was this really deep meditation to just shift it. And I wasn't even honestly thinking about the book. I was just thinking about my life and the highest self and living in that highest version of myself and shifting it. And what do you know? A week later, just coincidentally, if we want to call that, I ran into a company that was, book writing, and I thought, we love your idea, and started collaborating with them. And the next thing you know, like, they held me accountable, and I have almost a full manuscript like 8 months later.
Truly
And it
amazing.
just brings me so much joy. Like, I have this bubbling, excited thing in my heart that I've always wanted to, or the universe has brought this to me, and I just finally stepped into that role. And then it just lined
Congratulations.
right up.
That's amazing. I think that that is such a great example of divine timing and also like the doing part of it and getting out of our own way in a way, right? But the divine timing piece for them, that alignment of for you to meet those people a week later and so forth is just,
Oh, I
yeah.
agree. And who's to know that maybe that was already on my timeline and I saw it and I did it.
Right.
We don't know, but it doesn't matter. I know that I cleared out a lot of the junk that might have been blocking me from that, and just stepped into a lot what you said. Get the analyzer out. It doesn't matter. Let's just creatively flow
Yeah.
and glow and grow and whatever. And what you want wants you. And so I know that. And it's been amazing. So I always tell people, if you have a passion project, don't look at it in the future, bring it into the now, because it will create so much joy and happiness. But you know what I did do too? I decluttered a lot. I
Mhm.
decluttered through my hypnotherapy. I got rid of a lot of just old, just junk that didn't need to be there. And I believe that when you clear that space, it creates this vessel to be able to receive as well. And I think maybe I was blocking some of that. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, do you clear space? What do you do when
Yeah,
you,
absolutely. I agree. I have the same awareness of that of if there are things that we're holding on to that are no longer they're expired. This is the way I do. I'm like, oh, that's expired. Time to release it, right?
oh, wait a minute. So you look at something like, wow, that's expired. So someone told me the other day, I quit, but I didn't leave the job. So
Yes.
tell me, how do you, when you know it's expired, is there a way that you figure that out?
Well, I think that I mean, the more past the expiration date, the more it's going to create lower vibration experiences.
It's like just a feeling of dread.
Yeah, a feeling of dread. But I think that I think we don't have to go through the dread. I think that we can be aware of like, oh, I think this is complete and not have it have to go into pain to get
But if
that
it
light.
is, then it's again data, right? Pain,
Yeah,
dread, whatever. It's
yes.
listen to me.
Because it'll keep coming. And then if it's the job, for example, and you're like, oh, I think I'm complete with this job, but you stay because, well, we have to, whatever the reasons, or there's fear, or, don't want to change, whatever that might be. And it really is out of alignment. If that misalignment keeps happening, eventually you will get fired. Something will happen, like it will help you out. The universe will help you get aligned.
No, I agree with you. The creator, universe, your highest self, guides, angels, divine spirit, God, whatever you
Yeah,
call it, is working for you
that's right.
24/7.
Yeah, and we're co-creating with God, and there was something you said, you asked about the creative. Oh, one more thing about the creative energy. So this is what I found so often, and I still hit this, which is I think I don't value sometimes my wisdom or my knowledge or the way I do something, or that one of these downloads that I get that I jot down, because it's mine. It's just truth to me. So to me, it's just the way it is. And there's this disconnect from like, oh, other people don't see this or don't get it. And like where the gift is for other people, like how actually this owning it and spending time with that thought or that idea, that creative energy, not only feeds you and creates self-validation, which is the most important kind, but it also then shares with other people, right? So even if you think that it's silly or not good, air quotes, like this isn't good or this is not new or this is not, it doesn't matter. It's coming through you for a reason. And it's your energy. It's the alchemy of your energy mixed with the concept that might have been already talked about 5 million times, but your energy mixed with that energy of that concept and of that learning and that teaching, that creates a new vibration of it, which then is meant for some people to be able to receive, because they can't receive it with a different alchemy of somebody else sharing, right? So it's all
It's
purposeful.
for
And
you, right? It's
it's
for
for
you.
you. It is for you.
No
Yeah.
one
So
can take away what is, no one can take away what is for you. Well, Aimee, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for this time together. So for all of the listeners here, where can we find you? Where can we connect with you?
thank you. I on Instagram, Aimee Leigh Soul Happy. My name is hard to spell. It's Aimee, and then Leigh is Leigh. And then my website, super easy, is soulhappy.life, Life.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely put that all in the comments.
Thank you.
And if something stirred in you today, then it is not by accident. It is your subconscious mind tapping in for you to align and listen in. So thank you everyone for tuning into channel today. If you like this, please subscribe, pass it on to your friends, and we'll see you again.